are going out in foraging swarms, collecting live prey, which they tear apart and then carry back to feed to these carnivorous larvae.
If the army ants are ferocious foot soldiers, then this creature must be straight from the tank division.
This is a Costa Rican land crab. And although he has to return to the sea to reproduce, he and his relatives can be found as far as 10 miles from the coast and even 1,500 feet above sea level. Now that's what I call a well-traveled species.
Well-traveled and well-protected. The crab's body and spiked legs are covered by a suit of armor made from chitin fibers, as flexible as human-made plastic, but reinforced with rock-hard mineral crystals.
This is a tough little creature. He's got 8 walking legs with sharp, hardened tips, a heavily armored body that's really difficult to penetrate, and a set of pinchers that can really inflict some damage on a pesky predator.
Massive, bulging pincers are a surefire deterrent to would-be predators.
The claws are used for digging, as well as manipulating food and tearing it apart. The mouth parts are very adept at cutting, but they're not used as a weapon. That's left to the pinchers and the spiky feet.
When the rainforest crab ventures into enemy territory, hardened killers beat a hasty retreat, not willing to risk a run-in with those crushing claws. This foray in the leaf litter will put it in the path of an oncoming storm. The army ant swarm. But what happens when the tank on legs clashes with a rampaging infantry regiment? A hungry rainforest crab prowls for food in the leaf litter. Not far away, a ravenous tide of army ants is on the warpath. The army ants attack with savage mandibles and stings full of paralyzing toxin. The rainforest crab relies on heavy-duty armor and massive claws. Who will emerge victorious?
Army ants really don't care how big the prey is. They're basically willing to take anything that they can bring down. And this is because they have an awful lot of hungry mouths to feed back at the colony.
When the ants make contact, the crab's first instinct is to cut and run.
Seeing a swarm of army ants approach must be a terrifying sight. He'd be feeling like he's surrounded by a horde of serial killers armed with machetes and dart guns.
The crab's getaway isn't quick enough. More warriors enter the combat, biting the crab's exposed eyes, looking for a way past the armor to the sweet flesh beneath.
Once these army ants have breached the shell, they're able to open this crab up and get the meat out.
Overturned and overrun, the crab claws at its attackers. But against such small enemies, those huge pincers are clumsy and ineffective. The army ants concentrate on joints in the crab's shell. The tiny gaps between armor plates are wide enough for probing stings and cutting mandibles.
This isn't just a bunch of itches that can be scratched. It's bite after bite, sting after sting, just hammering away and draining the crab's life force.
Toxins flood the crab's body, shutting it down. As the crab takes its last breaths, the ants start to dismantle their fallen foe.
When you're attacked by an army as fierce as this, there's no such thing as impenetrable armor. They just keep attacking until there's nothing left to do but just give up and die.
In the callous bug world, it's always an eye for an eye. To the victor go the spoils, and the vanquished becomes a shell of its former self. In the treacherous world of bugs, there are many ways to meet your doom. When a velvet worm tangles with a harvestman, it's all-out chemical warfare. On the moist forest floor, an ancient hunter stalks its prey, as it's done for 500 million years. The velvet worm is an all-terrain terror, flowing across uneven ground on hydraulic legs. Each one is tipped with a retractable claw for better grip. Tiny bumps on the body, called papillae, repel water, keeping the worm dry as it navigates its wet, humid world.
Each of the wart-like bumps on its body has a bristle at the tip that acts as a mechanoreceptive sensor. What this means is that the velvet worm is constantly monitoring its environment with its skin.
It looks harmless enough, but the only soft thing about the velvet worm is its name.
They're voracious predators. Velvet worms can grow up to 4 inches, and they can capture animals right up to their own size. This puts a very large amount of different creatures on their menu list.
With a top speed of less than 2 inches per second, it's not able to chase down a meal. But who needs speed when you possess one of the bug world's strangest and most effective long-range weapons? On either side of its head, modified legs called oral tubes fire twin jets of viscous slime. Caught in the sticky blast, the target is immobilized by biological glue.
This slime straitjacket is about 90% water. But as the water evaporates, proteins in the slime start to tangle and form tight chemical bonds. This becomes stringier, stickier, and harder by the second. This is such a cunning natural design.
The velvet worm isn't the only wily fighter in the forest. The Harvestman also has a few tricks up its very long sleeves.
You'd think to look at a Harvestman that it's a spider, but these guys aren't spiders at all. They don't have venom, they don't have a sting, they don't produce silk. Harvestmen are pretty much characterized by legs.
Those long limbs give it critical clearance in a close fight. And its spiky exoskeleton makes it a tough foe to tackle. And when it comes to victims, the Harvestman isn't fussy. Spiked feelers called pedipalps grab and hold the prey, while claw-like mouthparts rip and tear at the flesh. And when under attack, the Harvestman wields its own chemical weapon.
The way many Harvestmen defend themselves is with stinky glandular secretions that can spray or ooze onto the predator.
When these chemical combatants collide, it's stealth and stickiness versus stench on stilts. In the Central American rainforest, a velvet worm hunts for prey. Close by, a long-legged Harvestman also foul them for food. Neither will back down. The velvet worm has slime guns and razor-sharp mouthparts. The Harvestman boasts claw-like mandibles and a foul defensive spray. Which one will live to fight another day?
This contest is between two very different approaches to survival. Strong offense versus strong defense. Heavy weapons versus heavy armor.
With the worm in its sights, the Harvestman moves in for the kill.
I think the Harvestman has lots and lots of advantages, but it's got to get in close.
But it's too close. The worm gives it both barrels at point-blank range. The Harvestman struggles, but thrashing only tightens its slimy bonds. It's the glue from hell.
Now that's what I call chemical warfare. It may go everywhere. Half of it may miss the target, but wow. That is a prey capture technique that's impossible to upstage and very difficult to escape.
The Harvestman is in serious trouble.
All it can do at this point is back off and see if it can groom the glue off. But it's nasty.
With its victim pinned and defenseless, the velvet worm switches to safecracker mode, looking for a way into its meal. Like hellish cookie cutters, the powerful mandibles start sawing through the Harvestman's armor. Eventually, the worm injects its toxic saliva.
The saliva that the velvet worm is injecting contains mucus and also hydrolytic digestive enzymes that are pre-digesting the food outside of its body, so all it has to do now is sit back and suck it up.
Things don't always turn out the way you'd expect in the bug realm. You can have all the weapons in the world, but slow and sticky often wins the race. When a black jungle stalker and a black-faced katydid go head-to-head, dark forces will be unleashed. The rainforest floor is choked with debris. It should be easy to hide in the shadows. But in the bug world, even the shadows can kill.
Stalkers give everyone the creeps, and the black jungle stalker is creepy enough to ruin any picnic. It prowls around, stops, and just watches from the shadows, absolutely motionless. The first thing its prey are likely to see is a face full of fangs.
Then again, the attack is so quick, so violent. The victim never knows what hit it. The secret to the spider's incredible athleticism lies in its long, tapered legs. They're hydraulically operated. A system of valves controls the flow of blood into each limb. When the valve fully opens, the sudden surge pumps the leg up, ready for takeoff.
This is a spider that can really hurl itself into the air when it goes for a strike. So it can even give low-flying insects a good reason to reconsider their altitude.
The black stalker's sleek body is covered with fine hairs. Some on its long limbs act as super-sensitive motion detectors. that react to the slightest change in even a breath of air.
Those long sensory hairs on the spider's legs are so sensitive they can even detect when an insect flaps its wings.
The black jungle stalker isn't the only stealthy killer on the crush. Green ants also deploy chemical weaponry. Formic acid that burns organic tissue sprays from their abdomens. If that weren't bad enough, they swarm over a victim, literally biting it to death.
They become like this unstoppable organic plasma that can deter any predator, whether it's coming from the ground or the air.
Beneath this treetop bunker, with its elite soldiers, lives a colony of paper wasps. In a skirmish, they use their aerial maneuverability like a weapon. They also wield heavy artillery at the front and big guns at the rear.
Unlike bees that can only sting once, these wasps can sting repeatedly.
Nature is fickle. One unfortunate windstorm can smash one bug civilization up against another without warning. Now it's war. Green tree ants attack with serrated mandibles, stings, and formic acid. Paper wasps dispense multiple stings with aerial maneuverability. Which bug nation will survive this war? Wasps mobilize their airborne troops. Gangs of green ants swarm over individual wasps. Without the ants' superior teamwork, the wasps are at a disadvantage. But one-on-one, a larger wasp overpowers a single ant. But in ant battle tactics, strength lies in numbers. Individual wasps are pinned down, sprayed with formic acid, and bitten ferociously. But now the wasps retaliate. Mounting a concerted airborne attack, they breach the ants' headquarters and begin carrying off the ant brood. Under the onslaught, green ants scurry to save their young. It's carnage. The wasps' superior airborne maneuverability and their preemptive strike on the ant's nest tips the balance. They overcome their assailants. Defeated, the green ants sound the retreat to start a new life in another part of the forest. At number 7, when a freshwater crab and a tiger leech bump heads, there are no soft options. The combatants in this top 10 clash share the same pond. The freshwater crab is a shameless scavenger, feeding on the recently dead or anything too weak to fight. Like a knight in shell-hard armor, the freshwater crab's body and legs are safe from all but the most extreme assault. But the freshwater crab's major weapon is its claws.
It's with these claws that they're able to do everything. They can grab prey or potential predators. They can tear things apart.
But patrolling the freshwater pond is a devastating opponent. The tiger leech. It doesn't feed on the dead. It sucks life from the living. The posterior sucker attaches to its victims with an almost unbreakable grip. Up at the head, the anterior sucker does the real damage. It's all mouth, with tiny razor-sharp jaws.
Once they bite a prey, they hold on with a combination of suction and mucus. They also inject an anti-clotting enzyme to keep the wound from closing up and slowing down their feeding.
But what happens when it goes head-to-head with the freshwater crab? The tiger leech attacks with gripping suckers and razor-sharp jaws. The freshwater crab relies on heavy armor and sharp, crushing claws. Which one will make a meal of the other? It's feeding time in the pond, and any creature is fair game. The crab backs off, but the leech is back. It searches for the crab's Achilles heel. And finally finds access to the soft flesh. The jaws clearly visible. The leech starts to suck the crab dry from the inside.
This is bad news. The crab is able to defend itself really well in the front of its body, but behind, it can't get its pinchers. It can't get its legs behind it.
The leech sucks the life out of the crab.
When the tiger leech drilled through the crab's carapace, the crab began losing all its fluids.
Emptied of its body fluids, the crab draws its last breath and is consigned to a watery grave. At number 6, when a trapjaw ant falls in with a ravenous antlion, the earth opens up. The antlion loves the sand. Better still, it loves moving sand. It's the king of terraforming. Just a quarter-inch long, it can transform landscapes overnight. Burrowing in backwards, the antlion creates a pit by flicking up sand from a central hole.
What they're doing is they're gradually digging a cone-shaped pit.
Victims simply stumble in and never leave. Not far from the antlion sand trap, another predator is on the hunt. A trapjaw ant.